What's up, everybody? Back, and as you can see from the title, we have a special announcement. And the special announcement is that Scooch and I have bought a house, and we're really excited about it. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about in this quick live stream / episode is the fact that we bought it in a way that's not the traditional purchase a home and have that mortgage and pay to the bank, just pay it off. So the way that we looked for houses was different units. So we wanted to have multiple units in the home so that we could rent out part of the home to offset the cost of the mortgage, so how much you need to pay each month. So if you guys are completely new to real estate, that's cool. A lot of you guys are younger, like myself and like Scooch. So a mortgage is when you take out a amount of money from a bank or a lender to purchase a home, and each month you have to make a payment towards that amount that you took out. So if, for example, you have a $100,000 house and you want to put $10,000 down, which most people will require at least 10% to be put down, you would have $10,000. You put it down, the bank would then give you $90,000, and your mortgage would be for $90,000. And you would pay off a certain percent each month over the course of 30 years at a fixed rate of, let's say, 4.75% or 5%. And that's what a mortgage is in a nutshell. And when we were looking for a property to get, we wanted to make sure that we were getting a property that had multiple units, so that when we were making that payment every month to the bank, it would be less of a burden on us, because we have a person or people doing a Airbnb, which is what we're going to do, and they're going to be paying to stay in that unit, and we use that payment to pay for our mortgage each month. So this is called multifamily units, multifamily homes, when you're investing in those. But this one is a little bit different, because it's like a separate unit, almost like an in-law unit, which just means it's a detached, renovated unit that we are going to be doing Airbnb on. So people are going to be coming in for short-term rentals, like a weekend or a week or something like that. And you charge by the night, and then you go by occupancy. So there's a lot of really cool things that you can do to play around with your occupancy each month. And the coolest that I have found is that you can do like an experience. You can have an experience for guests. And Sarah and I, when we were talking about it, were really talking about theming it and having a cool theme. So when I've stayed at Airbnbs in Sonoma and Napa here in Northern California, there were some cool themes that were going on, like around wine country and things like that. So we're coming up with a theme, which will be cool, but this isn't really about the Airbnb side of things. We're definitely going to do more content about the Airbnb once it gets up and running, but for now, just the beginning stepping stones. So the way that it worked was we found a home. I went and looked at, I think it was 7 homes or houses for sale on Zillow. And Sarah was, texting with me the whole time. We FaceTimed because she wasn't there. She had to work. So she was like watching me walk through the houses. And a lot of them were just, absolute places you would not want to live. And they just needed to be fixed up. And that's what we were looking for. We weren't looking for a house that was brand new. We were looking for a home that was, one that you had to put some sweat equity in, or you had to work to renovate that home and really just increase the value on your own by hiring contractors or doing it yourself, fixing things, building new parts of the house, fixing it up, renovating the bathroom, renovating the kitchen. So we closed on the house about a month and a half ago, and we're in a different state than where we're moving, and more on that later, but we're moving across the country basically. And once you have this like remote relationship with your real estate agent, and you're in one state and they're in another state, it's a really cool experience. It's different. and I'm going to give you an example in a few minutes. But the purchasing was like we had to get underwritten. Like they had to figure out who we were, all of our background. They had to check bank statements. They have to check your credit score. They have to check everything about you, and then from there you get your mortgage and you figure out how much it's going to be every month. Then you get your title. So there's always going to be third parties that are going through this whole process, taking fees out. So once you get the mortgage, you have the loan originator, the person that got the loan originally. Usually what they're going to do is they're going to sell the loan to someone that's going to be servicing that loan. So you have to keep track of that. So you have your originator gets a fee, they move it to their the servicer. So that's usually the person that is going to be maintaining it, and they'll probably sell it at some point to a couple other servicing loan department companies, and it'll move around a little bit after that. But once that's done, you have your deed and your title, which will be transferred to you by another third party, and that third party holds money in escrow until the seller goes through and they sign and make sure that you are, everybody's on the same page, the mortgage is up and running, everything's ready to go. You have your house insurance that is in the process of going through, and you have to pass an inspection on the house to get that, everything transferred over, because the house needs to be insured and it has to be inspected to be insured. So part of the reason that I was wanting to go through all of this was because I was intimidated by this process, and a lot of people I know were intimidated by this process. Like especially millennials, young people are intimidated by the long traditional like notarizing wet signatures on paper and all this really like deep legal rabbit hole. And I think that unless you do it, and you got to dive in and do it and learn, the experience isn't going to get any easier. So you got to just pull the trigger, do it, and you can learn from there. So I'm a firm believer in rolling your sleeves up and just experiencing something and then learning and adding to that and iterating from there. So after you have the inspection done, sometimes you need things to be completed on the house, like renovated before. So for example, half of our house was had galvanized piping. So that means that it was like rusted pipes, which you don't want in a house because you can't drink the water. And what we had to do is we had to get the whole house replumbed. So a plumber had to come in, take out all the plumbing, replace all that. So once that was done, we had that checked off on the inspection. And then the next piece of inspection was the electrical. So, they check your plumbing, your electrical, your roof, your HVAC. And what happened with the electrical was that the panel didn't have a label on it. So when a panel doesn't have a label on it, they don't know who made it, so they can't write it off. They can't check it off the box. So we had to get a new panel installed. So that's another, $1,000 added. And the plumbing, that's another between $6,000 and $8,000 that you're going to spend on redoing plumbing, which was worth it. I love the idea of having brand new pipes. That's awesome. But to pass the inspection, to get the house insured, so then you can have that included in all of the costs. That's the whirlwind of monthly payment. And once you have that done and you have the title in hand, the house is yours. And then you need to, in our case, check your water, like where your water is coming from. We have water coming from well, and we wanted it to be through city because well water is a little bit on the sketchy side. So we got it transferred over to city water. We had to deal with the city to get them to come out and turn it on. So the whole process, net was like 2 months from signing the mortgage and signing everything to the point where we're able to move in. And on top of that, we redid the floors in the entire house, and we painted the back 3 bedrooms, and the plumbing's done. So all that has been done all within the span of about 60 days. So when we think about these things as like long, complex, scary projects, it's important to think about the fact that you are using contractors and you're dealing with experts. So don't go out and try and climb under the house and replumb a brand new or old home on your own. Not a good idea. Help is out there, so contact them. It's usually not as expensive as you think it is. So after those 2 months pass, we're ready to move in and everything like that. So the floors are done, and the previous people were smokers, so we have to worry about getting rid of that smell, and we'll be following up with more videos on that. But I really just wanted to show you guys that the process sounds really long. Like when I was describing the mortgage, signing it, getting it notarized, having them come to the house, going through all this paperwork, it's really just more daunting than it actually is. It sounds more daunting than it actually is. So there's not that much to it. It's just the process is ancient, and you just trust the process. Read the fine print. Like I read through all the agreements, made sure that there wasn't anything hidden, asked questions, contacted real estate agents to ask them about that. My dad is in real estate, so that helped. But it was very important to me to learn the process, because the next time that you are going into purchasing real estate or investing in real estate, you know what's going on. You know the agreements. You know who's taking a fee here and there. You know how long this is going to take. How long is plumbing going to take? How much is it going to cost? What's the the age on the roof? Where are there any leaks? Do you have to spackle the ceilings? Do you have to replace the fans? So it gives you this cool new mindset on what to look for when you're looking for your first home. And like I said before, we're doing it a little differently with the Airbnb unit that we're going to be renting out to subsidize our mortgage payment, and more on that later. But I just wanted to tell you guys this story about investing in real estate and how a mortgage works, and just the basics of getting it started. I've found the most bang for your buck was Zillow. Zillow was fantastic, so I'll put the link to that below. You guys can go check that out in your city or the city you're interested in. But we moved, we're moving 3,000 miles, and we purchased a house 3,000 miles away, and we've done everything on a remote basis via Zillow and all these other different tools that I'll talk about later. And the last bonus piece that I'm going to give you guys was a fun example of how technology is amazing in this space. Our real estate agent, who's been fantastic, he waved down a guy because I had ripped out the carpets of the house, and he waved down a junk person while we were here in California. He waved down a person who was driving by with a truck and said, "Hey, can I give you $30 to pick up all these carpets and these stumps and things that the owners have put out for trash pickup?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, sure, $30. So he shoots me a text and says, "Hey, I paid $30 cash. Can you Venmo me?" And I Venmo'd him. So within 5 minutes of the transaction happening, it was as if I was there paying $30 for them to remove the trash, which I think is a phenomenal use case for how this is possible to move 3,000 miles away from where you are right now and purchase a home, doing the entire process remotely. Very, very cool how far technology's come with real estate, and we're excited to move, and I'm excited to do more content about the move and real estate in general, because it's going to be an exciting transformation, especially when you guys get to see the house. I'm excited for you to see the floors that are new, and I don't think I'm going to be able to show you the plumbing, but be able to show you quite a few things in the house. And it's exciting times getting into your new house, and you can leverage that house for future investments. But very exciting times. And thanks for sticking around on the stream. And if you guys are new to the channel, we're going to be doing more content around the travel across the country, which is exciting, and I'm excited to be streaming some of that with my wife, Sarah, so you guys can stick around for that. And yeah, I will see you guys on the next episode. Subscribe and like. Also, throw those notifications on. I know that YouTube's been kind of funky about that, but yeah, I will see you guys on the next stream probably an adventure one while we're driving, which will be fun.